together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome in. We've got you some game time decisions to make right here on a Monday night. I am Kevin Walsh on SportsGrid. I missed you yesterday. Did you miss me? Probably not. How dare you? That's unbelievable. But you showed up here, and that's all we can ask for because we have an hour to set it up and knock it down. And we will talk a little bit about that Sunday slate and some of the standouts, some of the letdowns. We'll get to it all. But we lock in on a great Monday Night Football game with major implications within the AFC postseason picture. Baltimore, big, bad Baltimore, who just keeps losing football games, is in L.A. as 2.5-point favorites. This Chargers team is rounding into form, the offense getting better by the week, and that is why we have ourselves a total of 50.5. Yeah, I take my shot at the Ravens because I think I've spent a lot of this season angry that the Philadelphia Eagles haven't been given appropriate respect. Not because I'm a Birds fan, because I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles on prime time win a couple of games, and everybody understands. Well, Baltimore now, if they lose a marquee game here, you will watch that conversation shift significantly. Even if the Ravens play Philly next week and win that game, the Ravens would all of a sudden be in this odd mix of wild card only, and maybe even then, could they miss the playoffs? Because a loss here, followed by a game against the Eagles, means they could drop 3 in a row. This is an important one for the Ravens. I think they get it, though. I feel more confident that the Baltimore Ravens offense wakes up in this game. The Steelers and their voodoo magic kept what was an unbelievable start to the year from Lamar Jackson at bay. Expect that bounce back. The Ravens team total at 26.5 is on my card for your Monday nighter. Big picture for the Ravens. Despite the 4 losses, they are favorites at a minus price, mind you, to win the AFC North. Now, I get it, because while we talk about the way things could snowball, right? A loss here tonight, a loss to Philadelphia. All of a sudden, you're 7-6. What's happening? The sky's falling. The Ravens are favored tonight, and they will be favored when they play Philly. So the idea is this team will continue to roll while the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team who they are chasing in terms of the standings, holding off in terms of the odds, will be an underdog next week when they play the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be off bye. The issue I've had at times with Baltimore, or at least within recent weeks, has been some of their big picture pricing. We'll get to that in a minute. For example, how should Baltimore at plus 370 compare to the Chargers, who are at 13-1 to win the AFC? Well, that number, or those two numbers, will look much, much different if the Chargers get it done tonight. What the Chargers don't have on their resume is a win like the Baltimore Ravens present. While, again, I can take some shots at the Ravens, I think we all know that is a talented team and usually a regular season monster. It would be marquee for the Chargers to take this team down, considering the win over the Cincinnati Bengals is in the back pocket and within recent memory for many. I bet you'll start to hear the Chargers become a trendy pick within this conference. But again, that begins with the game tonight against the Ravens. I worry about their defense. This will be their toughest challenge, basically, since the Cincinnati game. But those are the two challenges with no real close third I think the Chargers have had so far this season. And we saw how they were able to wake it up for Cincinnati. If the Ravens start from the word go, it'll put them in a good position. We put these quarterbacks side by side, Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. And you have Justin Herbert check in tonight with a passing prop of 262.5. Not all too long ago, we were seeing Justin Herbert props barely crossing the 200 mark. Harbaugh, I guess I should specify here, LA's Harbaugh, to make this simple for you, has been excellent. He deserves as much consideration as anyone for Coach of the Year. He does. For Lamar Jackson, he is still deep within your league MVP discussion. Lamar will remain there with a victory. I'm not sure a loss would get rid of him, though. I'm not. It would drop it quite a bit, but you know Lamar is deep inside that race. It is a market, though, the NFL MVP, that did see a new contender arise off of Sunday's action. That is Saquon Barkley. You go up and down this list, and one of these things is not like the other. Quarterback, quarterback, quarterback. You get the story. And a running back. And not a running back sat there at 50 or 60-1. Take a long shot. Maybe it happens. Saquon Barkley is the third choice now at plus 650. The reality with this MVP award, it's been made never more clear to me than after last year's victory for Lamar in the race. It's narrative, it's record, it's timing. Saquon is checking all of the boxes. Narrative is there about how he transformed the Eagles, although it's really the defensive upgrades. But listen, I love watching Saquon, so it's all good, right? Saquon has been super important. The record is there for Philly, and the timing is there as well. He's playing his best football right now. Lamar Jackson isn't, because his most recent game was his worst game. Josh Allen just kind of sits there on by, likely controlling his own destiny within this race, and is a rightful plus 135. My goodness, though, can we please get this out of here? I know I shouldn't bother, but Mahomes is just not in this race. I mean, he's not. He threw 3 touchdowns against Carolina. Are you kidding me? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, we'll get there when the time is there, but just cut it out. He's not in that race. He, at 9, Joe Burrow, should be in the race and might be. That would be the long shot. We can get to that in a little bit. Let's put your running back side by side. Derrick Henry, the at one point Offensive Player of the Year favorite, who is no longer the Offensive Player of the Year favorite, because that is also Saquon Barkley. You could certainly buy into a narrative tonight that Derrick Henry will step up to try and get himself back in the mix. This will all be played out quite a lot when we do see the Ravens and the Eagles next week. I will tell you this now. For those who are tempted to bet Derrick Henry and think that the Saquon stuff has moved too far, there is a price out there on Saquon Barkley to rush for 2,000 yards. It's plus 150. I'm not telling you it's 100% going to happen. I'm telling you if he does, it doesn't matter what Derrick Henry does. So I wouldn't run into that market. Pass catchers tonight, my favorite, that would be Zay Flowers over 58.5. Double bounce back spot here. 2 straight games under 40 yards. Chargers, all of a sudden, we're seeing that secondary show some vulnerability against top pass catchers. Similar story, though, has been the case for the Ravens throughout this season. I am sure many tonight, understandably, will be keying Ladd McConkey. Your touchdown market, no doubt, begins with Derrick Henry. Everywhere else, though, on the board is a plus price. We'll continue to get into it with you here tonight. We'll take a look at this past weekend of NFL action next on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back at the right here, it's Game Time Decisions. For me tonight, the key, the Ravens team total over 26.5, and Zay Flowers over 58.5 receiving yards. I am locked in on Baltimore. I do believe this is a good spot for them to get right against the Chargers. LA with a awesome win against Cincinnati. Awesome in terms of the game itself. They should have done a better job holding on. I think if you look through the season so far for LA, I don't know if they have a resume that would suggest they can hang with a team like Baltimore. You might say the same thing about the Ravens, which I would hear out. It's why I play a team total tonight. A true and obvious bounce-back spot, scoring 16 last game, the first time all year they were held under 20 points. I think this Ravens offense will have its groove, specifically with Zay Flowers getting back to it. 34 and 39 in his last 2 games. The 2 games prior were 115 and 127. I did take a look on Zay Flowers for 100-plus tonight at plus 425. I do want to talk a little bit, though, about some of the key takeaways from yesterday's NFL action, because there were a lot of big things that happened, and also I have a little bit of FOMO since I was not with you Sunday morning. So let's just talk about a few key results. One quickly in Carolina. The Panthers and the Chiefs, 30-27, Kansas City gets the job done. And Kansas City gets the job done despite not covering in the least surprising result of the NFL season. But I don't say this to be mean. Trust me, we lose plenty of bets over here. Who was laying double digits with the Chiefs on the road? I wouldn't lay double digits with the Chiefs if they were playing a college team on the road. I mean, we've seen this time in and time out. And this was even during the good versions of Kansas City. The question now for the Chiefs is allowing 27 points to Carolina after they allowed 30 points to the Buffalo Bills. Is the defense starting to leak? We'll find out. They played a Black Friday game against the Vegas Raiders, who will now be quarterbacked by Aiden O'Connell. But the Chiefs are in this tier of themselves. That is how I view Kansas City. They are no longer the Super Bowl favorites. That's Detroit. They are the favorites within the conference. You can put them really at whatever number you'd like. But we all know what you're betting on. You are betting on, oh, they'll make the play. Oh, they'll figure it out. They do not look like the best team in football. Mahomes does not look like the best quarterback in football. But they are clutch. And that is what they did again yesterday. They were clutch. They got the ball with under 2 to go, needing a field goal, and they got a field goal. We will see if they can clutch their way to a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. I have my doubts. Speaking, though, of those Detroit Lions Super Bowl odds, if we could just quickly take in the NFC market right now, because the NFC market is starting to catch up and understand what I have been saying to you since the season began, and that was that the Philadelphia Eagles were a Tier 1 Super Bowl contender. Now, Detroit is still being priced in a tier of their own. I don't agree with that. They are 3-1 to win the Super Bowl. They are half the number of Philly to win the conference. Their defense is something that many are buying into, and I will likely be the last to buy into. That paired with Jared Goff being Jared Goff, time will tell. I don't have much issue with Detroit being even the Super Bowl favorites. I don't think they should be run away by any nature. But with the Eagles being on prime time for 2 straight weeks, everybody is now finally seeing what I've been saying, that this team is, again, a Tier 1 Super Bowl contender. I've said they're the best team in football. They still haven't lost a game that A.J. Brown has played in. And that is not a small sample size, by the way. He's played 8 games. They're 8-0. They're drilling teams. Good teams at that. Again, the Cincinnati Bengals this year have played 3 games against the Chiefs and the Ravens combined. Those 3 losses are by a combined 7 points. Philly went there and won by 20. The L.A. Rams, the always hot, trendy L.A. Rams, just a 2.5-point home. Oh, here's 37 on your head. Here's nearly 500 yards of offense. And there's a garbage time touchdown to try and salvage that result as the Eagles demolished the Rams just last night. The question in the NFC is not who are the 2 best teams. That is obvious. It's, can anyone else in this conference get the job done? Packers plus 750, Vikings 10-1, 16-1 Atlanta. The incredible thing is there's a 30-1 number on a team that somehow has victories against both Detroit and Philly. That would be the Bucs. The Niners are now 26-1. The Niners are under 500 and are a near touchdown dog next week in Buffalo. Things are messy for San Francisco, but the Niners are now kind of like the Bengals. If they get there, boy, you'll be excited about that ticket. If they get there, you will be real fired up that you have some Niners 26-1. But boy, does this team just not look the same. And I know it was Allen instead of Purdy. I know. Christian McCaffrey, 2.8 yards a carry, 3.5 yards per carry in the 3 games since coming back. Hasn't found the end zone yet. The Niners just don't look the same. They're going to have to either pull off a huge upset against Buffalo next week or get red hot. I mean, absolutely piping hot to make the back end of that wild card picture. Though, the Washington Commanders are certainly leaving that door open. And I'll tell you this, Jaden Daniels and that Offensive Rookie of the Year race that looked completely over, not over. Not done. All of a sudden, Big Bad Bo Nix, very in the race. I don't think Jaden Daniels should be as strong of a favorite as he is. What a weekend of football. What a weekend of football. We'll keep breaking that down with you. We're live on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid, just taking a look at everything that we saw yesterday. We did talk a little bit just before that break about that Offensive Rookie of the Year race. Jaden Daniels is right now sitting at a minus 108 number, minus 180 number. It is Bo Nix, though, who at plus 150 is making this a very real conversation. Now, it felt as if Jaden Daniels won the award because he had one of the moments of the season with the Hail Mary against the Bears. The fact that it was against Caleb Williams, it just felt like it was a done deal. But all of a sudden now, the Commanders keep losing games. They've lost 3 in a row. I mentioned this a number of times. As someone who bet Caleb to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I do not believe I capped the market incorrectly. I capped the Bears incorrectly. Because the cap on Caleb was the Bears were going to make the playoffs, and that is the separator. And I was getting a better price on Caleb, Offensive Rookie of the Year, than to make the postseason. Well, the extension for Daniels was the Commanders were a playoff lock. They are now 7-5, not playing well. And the Broncos are now 7-5, but they are playing well. I mean, that's the difference here. These two quarterbacks have each played 12 games so far. Bo Nix is thrown for around 2,500 yards, a little bit more. He has 300 yards on the ground, 20 total touchdowns, 6 picks. Jaden Daniels has thrown for 2,600 yards, about a little over 500 on the ground. He has 17 total touchdowns and 5 interceptions. The incredible thing is Bo Nix is beating Jaden Daniels for total touchdowns now. And this race, because again, Jaden's not playing unbelievable to the degree that it's separating off of Nix. This is going to, it's a little Heisman-esque sometime, MVP-esque. Record's going to separate here. Who makes the playoffs is going to separate here. I think that's what we're seeing. I'm surprised that, Denver's up to 7-5. I am a little bit. They are going to be favored, we know that, on a Monday night against the Cleveland Browns this next week. 5.5 on your look-aheads. They're going to hit a bye, be at home, play Indianapolis. They're right there. They are. Now Washington's got some easy games as well. Home against Tennessee. Favored in that football game. Also 5.5. Then hit a bye. Then it's New Orleans. Philly's in there. Atlanta's in there. Okay, a little bit more difficult. A little more difficult now. It changes the equation 100% within that race. It just does. A few other just kind of buttoning up some stuff here, okay, results-wise. I took a Vikings team total under, win total under when we did that for the Take 5. Minnesota just keeps escaping. They could have been beat by the Bears yesterday. They absolutely could have been beat by Jacksonville. Instead, they've won 4 in a row. And give them credit for that. They're going to get through that updated win total. If I believe it was 10.5, they are. I am still not buying this team from the postseason perspective. I am not. Despite that victory there. The Bears, big picture, Caleb with the goods, that's all that matters. They'll fire Eberflus. Just try and have that be one of the more coveted jobs of the offseason. The Giants job's going to come available. Jets job's available. Come on now, right? We can get into those quarterbacks a little bit later. Dolphins get a huge win against the Patriots. They roll that team. I know the Pats are bad. It doesn't matter. The Miami Dolphins are trying to get into that wild card race. You got to stack results. That was a game they could not lose. They won it. They have 6 losses. They have the 8th record right now in the conference. They need help. Denver keeps winning. They need some help. We'll see. The Dolphins feel like they are in that race within that picture. Seattle beats Arizona. NFC West, it's wild right now. It is. It's back and forth. Nobody can play consistent football. They really can't. The most tempting number, and maybe we'll hit this a little bit tomorrow about some divisional prices out there, some NFL numbers. The tempting number does look like San Fran at 6-1. Because none of the teams in front of them, I understand that the Niners are in last place, but it's 5-6 to 6-5, right? And everybody feels a touch vulnerable. Arizona's going to be a dog in their game against Minnesota. The Seattle Seahawks next week are going to play the Jets. Slight favorites in that one. The Rams also, they find ways to lose. So it's just kind of how things work out. They're going to play the Saints. So we're going to get into all this here. We're going to get the basketball board as well with you. We're live on a Monday night.
guys that can do it all. It's
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to right here. We're live on SportsGrid. Let's talk a little basketball. We'll go through my NBA notes in a second. College tonight. Oh, by the way, already a huge result on the college board. Memphis goes to 5-0 in Maui. They beat UConn, and they do it in overtime. That team was up 13 in that game. They started to lose grip. I lost a bet in that game. I had a UConn team total under. It had a lot of life. Then it didn't. It is what it is. It's okay. It happens. It was 78.5. But again, with overtime, it was obviously going to be a loser. It's fine. But, man, UConn had played the second easiest schedule via KenPom before their game against Memphis. So not battle-tested one bit. First step-up spot, the out-of-conference Kings, they lose. And, again, this is not a ranked Memphis team. This isn't a sneaky top 25 on KenPom Memphis team. They're going to obviously move favorably here, but we'll see what UConn can do now the rest of their time in Maui. I know the Colorado-Michigan State game's going on out there now. Tonight, you get a huge one. Iowa State-Auburn. Now, the Cyclones, I mentioned UConn, right? Second easiest strength of schedule in college basketball so far. Iowa State is first. They've only played 3 games, and 2 of the 3 are against teams that are bottom 5 in all of college basketball. It's been bad. It's been a whole lot of nothing. Auburn, on the other hand, beat what is kind of viewed as the better version of Iowa State in Houston. In Houston. Now, not at Houston's building, but they were in the city of Houston. I like Iowa State in the game, though it is now dropped to 3.5 instead of 4.5. And I feel as if I'm going to have to find... I don't know how I want to approach this just yet. Because, again, Iowa State has played absolutely nobody. So Auburn is a little bit more battle-tested. But I will tell you this. There's a few things there. One, like Auburn is number 1, Houston is number 1 on KenPom. I just don't agree. I don't. We've seen the Cougars and the teams they've had through the years. This is not the best Houston team. It is not. They've had NBA guards 2 straight years in Sasser and Jamal Sheed. They don't have one this year. That is going to bite them. But also, Houston kind of was in control for a lot of that game. Tahad Pettiford, the freshman, had this breakout game that was so far just an outlier game. He made 5 threes on 8 attempts in that one. In his other 3 games, he has made 2 threes on 10 attempts. He scored 21 points in that game. He has scored 16 total in the other 3. It happens. You need stuff like that. That's how you win championships. It's how you win games. Guys step up. Pettiford stepped up. I think Auburn is a tick overvalued because of the Houston win. And I'm not as in on Houston as the books are, as KenPom is, for example. I'm just not. But I'm going back and forth then on how I want to approach this game. I was going to grab the 4.5. It's down to 3.5. I could play an Auburn team total under, perhaps, but I'm not sure how I want to ultimately get there. But I can tell you I do lean the Cyclones in that game. I do like R.J. Davis to make 3 threes. All right, R.J. Davis so far this season is just struggling with efficiency. That's all. 7.7 attempts per game last year on 39.8 attempts. This season, 7.8 attempts this year, or 39.8 percentage. This year, 0.1 more attempts per game, but 22.6. Made 3 in the first game of the season. He's made 4 total since that game. I think it's a nice bounce back spot, and UNC has a very sneaky advantage. Think about when the Jacksonville Jaguars do the double up in London. North Carolina was able to get to Hawaii, all right, early. They played a few days ago against Hawaii. A little bit more acclimated there. I think that helps. I really do believe that. I'm interested in UNC, but I think what I'm going to do is bet their best player to have one of those breakout games tonight against what is a solid Dayton team who will be looking to make a statement. Let's talk NBA. So we'll go through a few of the spots here tonight. Let me move a couple things around for you guys. We're going to have Joe Lisi next. We really want to talk some college football with him. We're going to get into your Monday Nighter as well. So we'll go through the NBA. Magic Hornets. LaMelo off a 50-piece, but very inefficient in the game. I am interested in Brandon Miller, though, because he's going a tick under the radar now. We're seeing his minutes increase. His rebounds plus assists have been pretty consistent. That number at last look was 8.5. That's something I'm taking a look at. I'm interested in Scotty Barnes tonight. Scotty is still the main piece of this Toronto Raptors rebuild. He's come back and he's been solid, okay, for the Raptors since returning 2 games ago. But on the second leg of the back-to-back, I had 34 minutes from Scotty last game. Am I going to get that same workload? That's the question that we're going to try and figure out, but I think Scotty Barnes stands out a little bit. Lean Pacers tonight as they play New Orleans, but I think I'd feel a little bit more comfortable perhaps on a team total there. They only scored 115 against Washington. I think there could be some juice there from the Pacers offense in that game. You know, a lot of talk about Tyrese Halliburton right now. And, man, they showed Halliburton post-game kind of talk about his struggles. And, you know, it looks like it's weighing on him quite a bit. If this was baseball, Halliburton would get placed on a 10-day IL, right? And they try and, hit a little bit of a reset button there. I don't know if it's the back. It kind of has to be something. I've had some fun conversations with some of our crew about where I view Halliburton. And, I'd have him over guys like Paolo Banchero or De'Aaron Fox. And to me, it's not because I undervalued a Banchero or a Fox. It is because Tyrese Halliburton has fallen off a cliff in terms of his own productivity. If Halliburton was still the same player, I wouldn't, it's not about those other guys. A reason I'm in on the Pacers preseason, right? I have a ticket on them to win the East is Tyrese Halliburton mainly. He's been atrocious this year. Really bad. And if that's a health thing, the Pacers are going to have a hard conversation because you can't keep running this guy out there to look like this. There's also some talk about the home road splits. They are stark. 40% from 3 at home to 22.7 on the road. Look, again, I've seen people suggest that maybe it has to do with the travel, not being able to be in your own bed. They got to figure something out, man. Because this team, you're getting 12 points a night from your best player when you're playing on the road. That just can't be. It cannot be. We'll see how it progresses a little bit. Kyrie pops tonight, but no Klay Thompson in that game, so Atlanta as a 2.5-point favorite will look to take advantage of the Mavericks on a back-to-back. I'm not sure if it's a trap spot, but, man, Dallas does shine a little. The Mavericks lost to Miami in overtime. Okay? The prior two results for this team without Luka were winning in Denver and in OKC. You don't think they can win in Atlanta. But now you add Clay out, add Quentin Grimes out, it becomes a lot. Again, I think Kyrie could shine in that matchup. Kristaps is back tonight for Boston. They're up to a 10.5-point favorite. That total looks a little light. We know the Celtics bomb threes. They've played a pair of unders within their last two games. They are on the second leg of a back-to-back, but so are the LA Clippers, who last night got hot in Philadelphia. Ja Morant's supposed to be back tonight. Curious to see where they're going to hang his numbers up against the Portland Trailblazers. But Memphis certainly could use him back. They're being booked like he's back, obviously, laying 10.5. Knicks tonight are in Denver. I lean that way. We're still waiting on full confirmation as to whether or not Cat plays. I am looking towards Brunson props tonight. Want to see where things get settled when we get the official word on Cat. One Steph Curry note, he has made 3+ threes in 12 of his 13 games this year, but he has not seen himself go, what is tonight's points prop, 24.5. He's only scored 25 points in 4 or more in 4 games this year. It's been an odd season from Steph, albeit an efficient one. OKC, they do look a little light on the road to Sacramento. I want to see if Hartenstein cracks that starting lineup. All stuff to keep dialed on with the NBA board. Let's get Joe Lisi in the mix next.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We're with you right here on a Monday night. We're going to close, breaking down this Monday night game a little bit more. But our guy Joe Lisi's in the mix. Right before we got rolling, he once again wants me to figure out if Texas Tech can get into the CFP. You got to stop. You got to stop this Texas Tech. How are you still doing this Texas Tech
They're
thing?
alive, 150-1. They need some Armageddon in week number 14, but it's possible. They're playing West Virginia this week at home, 3.5-point favorites.
Right, and that win does almost nothing.
No, they need Iowa State, BYU.
Colorado.
Oh, Colorado's got a tough matchup with Gundy, 0-8 in the Big 12, 17.5-point
Let me ask you
favorites.
something with that, because then I'm going to be done with the Big 12.
Okay.
I mean, really, how does a Gundy getting away with this? The whole conference, the whole conference is still up for grabs, except for his team. I mean, it's embarrassing.
It's gutless. No, ever since they lost that game early in the year, they beat Arkansas. They should have lost that game.
Yeah, they should have.
They should have. But once they dropped those early games in the conference, they went down like a dart. They quit. Then they lost the BYU game, and that was it. They had BYU dead to rights. They gave up a touchdown with 41 seconds. A touchdown in 41 seconds.
As wrong as
unbelievable.
At least I hope, as wrong as I'll ever be about a team, this year's Oklahoma State team. Just I expected much, much more from them.
Great uniforms, though.
Yeah, maybe that'll help them. The college football playoff outlook after last weekend, chaos.
Yes.
Absolute chaos.
Great.
Bama goes down. Ole Miss goes down. Ohio State rocked Indiana. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
That the SEC, there's parity. I'll say that. I mean, look at Florida, how good they're playing over the past couple of weeks. What about South Carolina? South Carolina would have pulled that game out against LSU or Alabama as a 2-loss conference team. They would have been alive this weekend. I mean, they still have an outside shot if they could beat Clemson.
Yeah.
They need Tennessee to lose and some other teams to lose. But South Carolina playing as good as any team in the nation right now. So there is parity from top to bottom, but happy for Brett Venables in Oklahoma because I thought he did. It was up against it with the 7.5 win total. One of the hardest schedules in the conference and in all of college football. They pulled that to hold Jalen Milroe to 3 points in that offense. Gutty effort. Gutty effort.
Listen, what a performance! Destroyed that a Milroe offense that had been playing really well. But I want this to be clear because we're going to get into some interesting debates. I can tell. I don't know about me and you, but I know the other guy's real hot. About Alabama, Oklahoma, they're going to, because remember last year they lost to Auburn?
Yep.
And everyone then just completely was disrespectful to what the Iron Bowl, or they almost lost to Auburn, but what the Iron Bowl is. I know Oklahoma's 6-5. It's one of the 20 best defenses in college football. Yes. Norman is not an easy place to play. It was an Oklahoma team off a bye, bowl eligibility, and they got a Super Bowl level effort out of it. Bama's not in the playoff right now. But, I've heard some people say it would be a disgrace if Bama got in. I completely disagree. They need help. I think Alabama, they wouldn't be in my top 10. But, for example, Joe, and this is where I think, I wouldn't rank Boise in front of Alabama.
No.
Boise keeps getting put on upset alert by the Wyomings of the world. I got to pretend Boise is better than Alabama? Come on, that's not right.
No, they beat Georgia. Let's not forget that. They beat Georgia 41-34. They put up a dynamic effort, Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe, when Georgia had only lost one game over the past, 32 games over the past 3 years. So it was a dominant effort. I'll say this. The Tennessee issue is going to come into the equation because Tennessee has 2 losses. They beat Alabama, but if Tennessee does in fact lose to Vanderbilt, you're going to have that conversation, right? What transpires? But Alabama had a tough schedule as well. They're 100%. One of the top. We know they're one of the top 15 teams in terms of the nation right now. Yeah, if they played Boise State, I think they would absolutely crush them. But that's a different story.
And I'll say, Bama against Indiana. Look, do I think Bama would beat Indiana? I think so. But it is not some type of guarantee in the way we would think about it years past. I'm okay with Indiana being in front of Alabama, but Lisi, there's people out there who are like, man, SEC bias. What are you talking? The SEC is going to get 3 teams into the playoff,
right?
Possibly,
right?
There's no SEC bias.
No,
there isn't any, and I think Indiana is very fortunate that they got a lot of help on Saturday because they showed up to that game, and if I may, gutless. Pathetic, embarrassing, and Cignetti went out there and had a chance to call timeout before halftime to get the ball back and said, no thanks, we'll probably turn it over. We don't belong on this level. That's what I saw at a tough guy, Kurt Cignetti. That's what I saw.
Well, that was a terrible call with not calling the timeouts. How many times do you see that in big games? They're
Never.
Ill-prepared. They're ill-prepared. A lot of coaches are ill-prepared for time management. We see it on the NFL level. We see it with Tomlin. We saw it last Monday night. I mean, come on. I mean, that effort on Thursday night was atrocious with the timeouts. But, again, Indiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, you're going to have that equation and discussion about all of those teams in the mix as an at-large, and that's what it comes down to. We're still not done. Upsets could happen this weekend.
100%.
I mean, look at Auburn's effort over A&M. If A&M beats Texas, now they're in the SEC championship game.
If Texas loses that game, are they in trouble to miss the playoff? I don't think they are.
I don't think so either. But
man, they probably should be.
Well, where's the win?
That's they don't have one.
Right.
Their best win is Michigan at that point. Right.
Where's the win? Right. Kentucky. They played down
Florida,
Vanderbilt by 3. That was a near miss. So, again, they didn't play LSU. They didn't have those games. The one game that they had an opportunity to make a statement, they lost by 15-plus points and rushed for a 1.1 yards per carry, 29 yards on the ground. Gutless effort.
I'll tell you this, and if someone disagreed with me, I don't know where you are. I believe if both Miami and SMU win next week, not easy games because it's just Cal's, hungry, Hughes with McCord. You never know. I think they should both be in. I think the ACC should be a 2-bid league now.
I do as well. And again, Clemson is lurking as well. They knock off South Carolina, and one of those teams lose this weekend. They're going to be the at-large, maybe over Tennessee. That might be the breakdown. We don't know how it's going to play out, but you're absolutely right. I can't wait to see it, Kev. The final regular season weekend is coming down to the nitty-gritty. Nothing better.
I'll say this last thing. Because here's something I was way wrong about and never thought it'd be the case. Notre Dame could lose to USC, and they are still getting in.
Think so?
I think they're 100% in. They have been rolling teams. We'll get to the Monday Nighter next.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Me and Joe Lisi, nothing better. Joe, man, so much stuff we can get into. Missed you yesterday.
I missed you.
What do you say we do a little Monday Night Football, and if the people are lucky, we'll get into some big picture stuff, but I don't know if we have the time. Although, you know what? I will want. You have to find a college pick for people, though. They've been loving it on the Mondays, all right? I want to extend an olive branch to you, though.
I know where you're going.
No, I'm just saying.
I know where you're going.
Watching a Sunday nighter.
Most complete team, the LA Rams.
No,
I
listen,
said it.
You love the Rams.
I do love the Rams.
But
offensive line's atrocious.
They got smashed.
Yeah.
And I've been, wanting you to stay away all year.
And I stayed away.
And the more the data, the intels come in, I'm just saying, if you want, you could come over to Philadelphia. If you want.
If I want. I don't
Best
think
team in football.
Yeah. I'll wait till they make it to the playoffs. How about that?
Listen, whenever we'll see how long the offer stays out there for, all right? I don't want to get disrespected.
That was a great effort. Come on. I mean, Saquon Barkley, 250 plus, 2 touchdowns, taking it to the house. I mean, Giants, you think you made a bad decision? He had 302 total
he wouldn't
yards.
have done this on the Giants. This is the best season. He already has his career high in rush yards.
Right. He's going to end up with what? Possibly 1,700, you think?
He's plus 150 on DK to get to 2,000.
I know.
He might get there. It's not a good number, but he might get there. What are you looking for tonight? I'm on Ravens team total over 26.5. I like Zay Flowers through 58.5.
I'm on Lamar Jackson to score an anytime touchdown plus 210 tonight.
Nice number.
I'm actually on likely 60 plus, and I'm on Josh Palmer for a huge performance, 70 plus receiving yards. I'm not on Disley. I'm not on Quentin Johnson. I'm on Josh Palmer. I think secondary receiver slot. He could open it up. He's got great hands and does have big play capability. We saw the Ravens step up against the Steelers. I think Josh Palmer is the guy to potentially have a huge performance and hit pay dirt. I lowered the totals in terms of Lamar and Justin Herbert. I took a parlay. I put Lamar at 175 plus passing and parlayed it with his touchdown. And then I took Herbert for 200 plus tonight.
This game's -3 everywhere. -3 everywhere now, so
I sort of like the Chargers.
I lean Ravens. I prefer the spot.
But I don't love it.
Let me ask you this. Better Harbaugh?
I would say Jim.
I think I agree. I think I
Jim,
agree.
I've seen John make some terrible decisions.
Yeah, there's something about John. I think he's lost favor.
You think he punched himself out?
I don't know, man.
You don't think he's got the fire in the belly anymore?
I think Jim's got all the fire in the world. I know that.
I know.
I know he's ready to rock.
He's going to want to make a statement tonight.
I will tell you this. If the Chargers win this game, they're going to become the trendy AFC right pick.
And then we have to bet against them first round of the playoffs.
Ooh, let me hold on a second. Who would they play next week if we were trying to sell high? At Atlanta?
Ooh, it's a tough one.
No.
It's a tough one.
No.
Come on.
I'm going to be on the Falcons in a big way. His cousins.
Her cousins bounce back.
1 o'clock game. He could certainly use it.
All right.
All right, so since we did that means we can get into some other stuff, which I like. For you yesterday, I do want to bet. You got a basketball for me?
With the college? Yeah, I've been.
Or why? What have you been zigging and zagging a little bit, or what?
No, I've been hot and cold with the college.
Have you dabbled in the NBA?
Not yet. No, first couple games.
You let it sink
in.
And
then, I can't do Naz Reid. I need to let it marinate.
Okay.
So is it true this Auburn-Iowa State game tonight, huh?
Yeah. 4 versus 5.
4 versus 5. That's a big one, huh?
Yeah, but is that a little too on the radar for you? Or
typically I go under the radar.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce Pearl, though, in these big spots always lays an egg. He always does. Laying 3.5. I sort of like Iowa State live plus 130 on the money line. How about under 144.5?
Wow. All right, there it is.
I think it's going to be more of a half-court type of game.
Gotcha. Slow it down.
Like crashing the boards. Are they on the over in the back? Is that why they're loving it?
I just think they love you, honestly.
Crashing the bounds.
Who
Auburn can get to the glass. They can. Every time they're in a Sweet 16, every time they get matched up, they never step up.
Yeah, except for last year, and they lose in the first round.
Yeah, well, that's Bruce Pearl.
I was not good for
Did it to Miami 2 years ago, cost me. Had them going to the Final Four that year.
I had a ticket on them last year. No, not good.
No.
Didn't do me any favors. Man, I think tonight's going to be a good one.
You think so?
Yeah, I think also just to, since we didn't get into it here
yesterday,
we're going to have to get into the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. I'm sure you guys got into it a little bit.
We didn't.
Now, come on.
No, we didn't.
All right. What were you busy doing yesterday? You didn't get into no Aaron Rodgers.
No Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Interesting. So you know what then? We'll do that tonight when we see you on the in-game live portion of our coverage of a huge one in the AFC. It's Lamar Jackson against Justin Herbert. Your pregame show with Casey Hudson begins next right here on SportsGrid.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much